Hello, welcome to Wellness and Wisdom with Dr. Nadu Tuakli, the podcast dedicated to empowering women over 40 to age gracefully, competently, and beautifully. I'm Dr. Nadu Tuakli, a family doctor, preventive medicine specialist, author, teacher, mother, and expert in hormone replacement, anti-aging, and longevity. With decades of experience as a physician and as a woman embracing every stage of life, I'm here to share practical advice, expert insights, and inspiring stories to help you thrive in happiness, health, and appearance. Together with my guests, we'll explore topics that matter most to you, from navigating perimenopause and optimizing your health to redefining success in retirement and beyond. Let's celebrate the aging process with vitality and purpose, because your best years are still ahead. Subscribe now to add more life to your years and step into the best version of yourself. Hello again, it's me, Dr. Nadu Tuakli. What if aging was not a decline, but a design challenge? What if the best years of your life came after retirement? Today's episode challenges everything you think you know about growing older. Imagine this: aging not as something to fear, but something to master with elegance, purpose, and impact. My guest today is redefining what it means to age well. She's founded a groundbreaking environmental movement, launched a global conversation about aging consciously, and inspired thousands to reimagine what life after 60 can look like. Some conversations shift your whole perspective. This is one of them. Today, we're talking about aging, purpose, and how to live fully, even when the world tries to slow you down. She's 77, unstoppable, and might just be the most vibrant person you'll hear from all week. Honestly, I'm ready to book myself a ticket to Chile just to meet her in person. She's turned aging into an art form and a movement. Stay tuned to hear how she's helping people around the world live their final chapters as boldly as their first. I am so honored to welcome Ximena Abogabir, a trailblazing Chilean journalist, environmentalist, and visionary social innovator. Grandmother of 10, Ximena has spent her life breaking barriers, from peace building to reimagining what it means to grow old with intention. She's the founder of Travesía, a movement that flips the narrative, viewing older adults not as burdens, but as assets to society, the silver economy. In this episode, we explore conscious aging, a life full of purpose, reinvention, and deep connection. Ximena is a powerful voice in Latin America for sustainability, intergenerational wisdom, and the radical idea that aging is not the end. It's just the next adventure. So let's dive into what it means not just to grow older, but to thrive. And with that, Ximena Abogabir, welcome to the show.
Well, I'm so honored with that introduction. I love the word elegance and I love the word adventure. I think that's the perfect tone because it's all different from what people think about aging.
So let's talk about conscious aging. Why have you described aging as a stage of awakening?
I'm 77, as you mentioned, but I really think I'm going to get to 100, maybe more. That's a possibility today. So we might as well have a plan for that. I think that's so marvelous. It's a gift. If you arrive in the right shape, if not, it can be very, very, very heavy. The difference of reaching well and not reaching well, I mean, when the health span does not go together with the lifespan, and this can be really hard for you and for society and for your family, you lose an opportunity of living, let's say, a quarter of your life more than you expected. We have already finished our tasks, and a space opens that brings you time to be yourself. And when I say to young people who are in the middle, around 50, you have more time, they say, oh my, I would love to have more time for myself, to do whatever I really want to do, or to simply meditate and contemplate the marvelous things of being alive. And of course, asking ourselves the question, why am I alive? What is the purpose of being alive? And I think that makes all the difference.
So how can we shift society's narrative around aging from one of decline to opportunity?
Well, I think we should begin by changing the words. Because when I speak of aging, I'm saying something that can be thrown away, useless, that I don't pay attention to it, not something likable. Instead, when I say longevity, that is a big present, something marvelous that comes in front of us. When I was born, my life expectancy was 50. And here I am with 77, full of life. So I must be grateful for that.
And in general, how has life expectancy changed in Chile? And what is the fastest growing segment of the population?
Well, it has grown as quick as it does in every country, only quicker. When women entered work, they did it very enthusiastically. And so that immediately lowered the birth rate. Those two phenomena go together. Less children and people living longer. The segment that is experiencing it more differently is over 80. None of us expected to reach to 80 years old. Life expectancy average is 84 in Chile. And so that can be a wonderful opportunity if you share the wisdom due to your experience, or you are a burden. It makes all the difference in the world, and it has to do only with the attitude, the stereotypes we have. If I think of myself like an old lady that has nothing to do, that we are a burden, of course I will act like one. But on the other hand, I can find all these beautiful surprises.
Now, you have said that the world has been short-sighted and did not see this huge shift. Like you said, over 80 is the fastest growing segment in your country. The world has been short-sighted, didn't see the shift coming. How have employers missed the mark? And what about the silver economy?
I think it's happening the same that what happened with climate change.
Right.
I was fortunate to engage with environmental movements in the 80s. I attended the Rio summit in 92, and we all had it so clear that something had to be done 40 years ago. So why did we leave all those times slip from our fingers, not doing what we had to do? And it's the same now with aging. Because, for example, you have to do is continue always studying. Because, of course, what I learned when I went to the university when I was 20 years old has nothing to do with what I need to know now. So I must be constantly learning, and that's very important. On the other hand, most people don't understand that if they did exercise every day, if they ate the way they should be doing it, the way you sleep, the way you relate to others, the way you relate to money, all those issues will make the difference now. It's now time to harvest all the decisions that you made when you were young, when you were not conscious of this. And so that's why it's been so abrupt. And as you said, the people who hire, the same thing is happening with them. They understand people over 60 are old. They are aging. And so they don't understand that we have less young people entering the workforce, and therefore we need to learn to work together between generations. Every generation sharing it's best for them. For example, no doubt young people are best in technology than ourselves. But on the other hand, there is something very interesting. Now that everything's changing, what should we avoid changing? Because it's something that we will resent it afterwards.
And you've probably heard about the aggressive policies here in the United States right now where people are being forced to retire. And that's a whole segment of wisdom and knowledge that is being shown the door. But as you get older, you get wiser, and obviously experience is critical. And so it may be a little short-sighted on the part of the employers that they are allowing that much knowledge and work information to just walk out the door. Can you share some examples of ageism in public policy?
Well, right now, they passed a law. People who work for the state have to quit when they are 75, which maybe is a good decision for some people because we age in different ways. But being 75 does not mean you have nothing to offer. I'm 77, so I know. I'm surrounded by people who are over 75. And we have so much passion for sharing what the world needs today because we experience it in past crises. We understand the whole world, the whole humanity is having a tough time. We don't know where everything is leading, or we think that it's leading the wrong way. So we want to share past experiences. And on the other hand, today, especially Western culture, feels that everything that is young is better. It's more innovative, it's more dynamic, it's faster. All attributes that are okay for young people, but they are not all what is needed today.
Right. Well, the good old saying, history repeats itself, right?
Yes,
So
yes. And
some of us have seen the history.
But that's the issue. When you've seen it and you've suffered it and you know the costs of all these phenomena when they are not approached in the right moment, you say, oh, this could have been avoided because we have the experience.
Right.
And yes, it hurts, and when I look at children, I say, oh, I'm so sorry for the world we're living for them. Meaning climate, being aging.
Now, would you say that men often associate employment with dignity and struggle more with retirement or job loss than women?
We always thought that women would age in a worse way than men because all the things we know, no? that we work hard at home and work and so.
But we live longer.
Yeah. Well, but now we know it's the other way because women are multitasking and they come in and come out of different jobs and different roles. When time comes to retire, whether it's voluntary or it's not, you adapt more quickly than men. Men usually understand their identity. They confuse it with their job. Who am I? I'm an engineer. Who am I? I'm a doctor. Who am I? I'm a carpenter. And I'm not that. I'm a human being. That I am doing that. Or maybe I loved it. Or maybe I learned that. But that's not me. And so from my point of view, we at 75 or 80 want to work as we did before because we really lost a lot of life, no, that skipped from our fingers. Another thing is to press people to leave, and all the incentives are put on go to rest. And if you rest, you will probably begin a decline process. And that's bad for everybody because the society will have to take care of us. Society or family or a woman.
So the best way not to be a burden to all of the above is to stay active.
Exactly.
And keep your brain and your body active.
Yes, and your relations, and that means not only working for profit. If you were fortunate enough and you do not need to earn money because you're okay, then you can give all your talents and your experience to other social have moved you. And that makes you very happy because when we give, we know we receive a lot more.
So what role does community play in aging well?
Well, I think there's no way that modern family can take care of aging adults. I honestly think that we can be such a big burden that it's not a matter of love. Many homes, for example, are single parent. And that's one person that has to work what the family needs and so does not have the time to take care of an older people who needs to be taken care of. And I think that has to be prevented. The opportunity that we can propose is more than the burden. The thing that moves me,
And what have you learned about letting go as part of the aging process?
Well, I think that's something we have to learn to do. Let go is not useful today so that we can let come that you will need at this age, at this time. For example, things. Probably at this age, you don't need so many things.
And
And on the other hand, maybe you need time for yourself.
so you often speak about leaving a legacy. How can ordinary people think about legacy in everyday terms?
I feel that it's a miracle to be alive. Everything in the universe is against that. So many things have to happen to be living this moment that I have to understand that I came to this moment for something, a purpose. And so to understand what you came for in life, pay attention. What is that comes easier? Because you came to this life equipped with the tools you needed to do your job. And so it's easy, no? I'm going to pay attention to that which I like to do, which makes me happy, which is fluent. And I will find that that's something that maybe will leave a footstep for the next generations.
So find out what you're good at and what you like,
Yes, yes,
and leave the legacy.
yeah, that's it.
So, in your experience, what are the biggest misunderstandings between younger and older generations?
Again, stereotypes from one another. Compromise is something that usually young people don't have the way we did it. We came into work into some place when we were 20 and we had to leave. It's 65 or so. But now people leave when they don't like the type of chair they use in with the workplace. And on the other hand, they say that we're slow, that we don't learn, that we're stubborn. The only problem is that today we live in silos. It's fortunate if you have the opportunity to work together with young people, each generation giving what we do best.
So, the moral of the story is that we need to learn to work together and not have the us and them attitude about things.
Exactly. You put teams that are intergenerational, the outcome probably will be best because every generation another experience.
So, are there differences in how men and women view the future, looking forward, or finding motivation later in life?
Chilean men, I'm not going to speak about everyone. So, I mean, that men can adapt to much more difficulty than women. Whatever that makes you feel good with yourself, that you're still valuable, that you have the dignity of somebody who's still useful.
And avoid being a burden.
Yeah, avoid being a burden because there, again, society, the family, a woman will have to take care of you. That's a terrible burden for women.
Yeah, women do tend to be the caretakers.
You're supposed to be very happy with that. And it's a very tough experience because you leave your freedom, you leave your job. I lived passing away of my husband, and I can tell you it's very, very, very difficult when you have your
Stressful.
own life, and then something happens that you have to take care, and everybody assumes that you're very happy for the opportunity, which is part of the truth, but it's not all the truth.
It's not the whole truth.
No, it's not the whole truth.
So, speaking about you, how do you personally approach health and vitality as you age?
Well, I think I was very lucky because nobody knew it was the right way, that style of life. But both my parents did the right thing. For example, nobody in our family smokes. We all love exercise. We all love having a lot of friends. We love conversations. We love to work. We're not very good at buying anything we don't need. The type of meal is a Mediterranean meal, which is exactly what you prefer. And so I was lucky because I was raised in a home, a family that did the right thing, so I adapted it, and my children adapted it. For example, now with my 10 grandchildren, nobody smokes. Almost nobody drinks. It's funny. I mean, if it's a lifetime, what you have seen your whole life, it's natural to be so. So lucky to be all very healthy. It's amazing.
You're reaping the benefits of the following basically the pillars of longevity, which is exercise, eating properly, avoiding toxins like smoking and drinking. And so,
Learning,
like you said,
always learning, always be curious,
and
always be,
social interaction
yes, 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 yes. And a,
versus isolation.
and a sense of purpose, thinking that I must contribute to society. That is also a type of thinking that will give you so much strength.
So, what excites you at 77?
A conversation like this one excites me, and it makes me so happy that, for example, we don't know each other. I know nothing about you, yet we are connecting and we're concerned about the same things, and we can share. I've learned a lot of talking with you, and that, for example, excites me very much.
No, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I think we do have similar ideals in the sense that we want to have purpose and we do hope to make things better, even if things right now don't look as good as they could. But understanding that it takes everyone to have a sense of purpose and an interest in their fellow human beings to improve.
And when you look at a world full of problems, which will be my problem that I will a little bit improve, a little bit. But I mean, if we all do that and think that way, things will go better. Instead, if I sit and say, oh, everything's terrible, what will we do? Everything's great. No, that doesn't help. It's contamination.
Yeah. Well, you are clearly a natural problem solver. Your history shows that. So were there any turning points or revelations in your life that reshaped your views on aging?
Yes, everybody, not almost everybody, everybody I know has a story that in one moment they understood society was looking at him or her as an older person. It's surprising because that happened to me when I was 70. And then I decided to create with that other bunch of friends the journey to 100. I have to prepare myself if I want to have the best of it, of this time. And suddenly in one meeting, I understood that people were there helping me. But I said to myself, why are they looking at me? What changed? Mm-hmm. And the change is in your ID, your biological age. It has nothing to do with your real age, and that's very different from one person to another. If I lived in a polluted place, probably my physical and my mental situation will be worse than if I lived in nature, for example. Or maybe if I was not fed in a correct way, or so many things, so many issues.
So tell us about Travesía 100, Journey to 100.
Well, it's been a fascinating journey for ourselves. Today we have 5,000 people, older people above 60, that have come to us and said, hey, I heard you talking here or there, and the media has been very receptive, so I want to be part of it. And so a sort of movement has begun, and everybody recognizes that Chile has become a hub, an innovation hub around aging. It's very interesting. MIT, the Age Lab, they said, today humanity is like a big ship. Downstairs you have the rowers, the people who have to row to give society earnings, product of their work, rowing, to sustain this ship. And every time you have less rowers, the people who are dancing upstairs like the Titanic are more and more and more. And since they have nothing to do, they are sort of falling in depression and they don't use your mind. And so they become a problem. And I think that figure of a ship with less rowers and more passengers makes so much sense. I think that's beautiful. I owe it to MIT.
Now, the Travesía 100 holds workshops and conversation groups on a regular basis. Can you give us some examples of what's taught in your workshops?
First of all, from the very beginning, as younger, the better, I start taking care of my body, my soul, my mind, my wallet, as I said, my relationships, all the factors that allows you to have a good aging process. That's one thing that we mentioned. I mean, it does not happen. It mostly depends on how wise you were. There is something that I can do to age well. That's something it's very important to understand. Not all, because maybe I was born in a very poor family and we ate what we could. But in most situations, you can do something. So that's very important. Another thing is, don't accept the invitation to rest when you're 60. Because 40 years from 60 to 100, resting is very boring. Try to keep active. try to keep every day, get up in the morning with meaning. What will I do now that is something that will make somebody happy? That makes all the difference. Another thing is to prepare especially your knowledge, what you learn, to be able to keep on being productive. Going back to the ship, so many passengers doing nothing, and society has to keep them alive, in not in good shape, with less rowers, which is the less children now have to be part of the financing of Social Security. It's going to be an intergeneral injustice because we're leaving such a burden.
So in your workshop, I know you teach reinvention, like if people want new skills to try to do a different kind of job or to reinvent themselves.
Yes.
Do you also have workshops on health-related topics?
Yes, especially in the pandemic, older people were not familiar with computing and internet and so. Right. And that was something that was terrible because you had to survive, locked in home, and we were so drastic and enthusiastic about you have to do it and it's easy. Right. And so we started showing that it was easy. It changed our lives. And so we shifted the idea that older people would never learn. So many people from the academia or from other sciences came to us and said, you really mean that the older people want to learn and can learn? And I said, hey, and here we are after the pandemic, and now let's say 92% of older people have learned. Even if it's WhatsApp, with the use of WhatsApp in your cell phone, that makes a difference.
Maintains community connection.
Yes, and you are connected and you can still go along learning. For example, YouTube. People today that don't know how to read and write learn by YouTube because you don't need it. It's all images. So it's amazing the difference for our generation to understand life will not be back to the way things were. No.
Right.
Period. End.
Keep moving forward.
And adapt. That's what you have to do. And of course, fix those things you need to fix in your own environment.
So is that the advice you would give someone who is at this point, midlife, maybe 50s, who's wondering what's next?
The World Health Organization decided that ageism, stereotypes of ageism, were a public problem of health. Because what we were mentioning, that if everybody looks at me as an old lady, I will act as an old lady and I will have to be taken care of. World Economic Forum, there are big global surveys about happiness. And they put the 6 all together, and it was a perfect you. The moment you were most happy was at 20, when you were like the masters of the world, and you thought you were going to be a Nobel Prize or Steve Jobs or whatever. When you are back to reality, you start experiencing that you're not so happy. And the worst moment is at 50, when you are in the middle, taking care of your kids, if you have, and taking care of your parents. So that is very, very, very stressing. But after 50, you're already done. You know you will not have a Nobel Prize. You know your children are going to be Bill Gates. You accept, you adapt, and you start enjoying what you have.
Still have a future to look forward to.
And on the other hand, you're less stressed because this is myself. I stop looking approval on the eyes of other people, and I am myself. And I enjoy what I have, not what I have lost. And referring to the word elegance, I think that is what gives you elegance. Because you're okay with yourself, with the best version of yourself. And so the you gets much better until the things get tough. And one of the things I think it's very important for medicine is to keep you alive when you can have a good life. Keep you alive as long as possible when you have a good life and you have something to give. But when the things go wrong, make them happen quickly.
Right. Yeah. No, prevention is definitely better than cure.
Absolutely. But now, if my finger hurts, they will give me a green pill. If my thumb hurts, they will give me a red pill. And so I have to take a lot of pills. I don't have the money to buy them all, so I buy once a month as you say, preventing is a wise thing to do.
Yeah, my specialty is preventive medicine, so I try not to be so pill oriented, but I understand what you're saying. So let's use me as a case study.
Mhm.
I'm 70 and I'm beginning to scale back at work, but I know that I still have a lot to give. And sometimes I look at my hands and I'm like, these hands can still cure, you know? Why do I want to just put them in the cupboard, so to speak? So what advice would you give to me?
I would say that to people who are 50, or the younger the better, to start gradually changing your life. I don't believe in saying, well, ready, and now I'm retired, I have an earning. The US probably retirement more or less covers an okay life. It's not the same in South America. So you
You're
hear,
talking about Social Security.
yes, yes. As sooner the better, start imagining what can I do forward,
Mhm.
afterward. And maybe it's the same, but reskilling, or maybe it's something completely different, something you've always dreamed to do. It all depends, no? Definitely having a project for this period of time, I think that makes a big difference.
So, would you say that sometimes we get so focused on innovation and renovation that we lose valuable aspects of the past itself?
Yes.
What are we at risk of forgetting?
I think the lack of sense of community. I don't believe in saving myself. I think we are all in a little planet in the middle of the universe. We are traveling together. So if our little planet is not in good shape, nobody will save themselves. Or maybe some little groups of people. But the lack of community, of sense of community, I think is a tremendous mistake. I think
Okay.
that that has to be recovered because at least in Chile, we have such a feeling that everything is threatening me from the outside that people are going back into their homes and maybe they relate to their families, nobody else. And all the rest are strangers who maybe want to hurt me. And that's not good for the soul. So I think recovering the sense of community is key as humanity. I love the pandemic because of that. Because there we were, all of us, hidden and not being able to do what our life as it used to be. Everybody shared knowledge to find the solution, which was the vaccine. In that moment, in the pandemic, I loved it because it was a common problem that had a common solution, and that solution would not work unless it was well for all.
Everyone pulling together.
Yes, I liked it. And I hope we wouldn't go back to this sense of individuality. And well, it seems as though it didn't
We
work
have.
that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So the pandemic did have certain positives, and I agree with you that that was one where it was something that needed to be solved on a
Yeah,
global scale, and it wasn't possible for people to be narrow-minded, myopic about the solution. It
yeah,
required the whole community to get
yeah.
together and figure it out.
Because, for example, today I have learned that most labs, research labs, that used to receive funding from the billionaires to understand aging, now the funding has made them shift to how can I make a few people live longer. Going back to what I said that keeping older people in a good health span for a
In good
long time
condition.
is great. But now the funding is going to this bunch of people who are willing to spend billions of dollars to keep themselves alive. And I think that's so crazy. It's like imagining you can go to live to Mars. It's crazy. Doesn't make sense. We have to travel together.
Well, it's going to backfire. So history repeats itself. We have to sort of know what's going to happen and hopefully plan for it.
Yeah.
But what gives you the most hope right now for aging individuals and for humanity?
When after the pandemia we came back to who we were, that was tough for me. Huh? But I have to be optimistic. I am optimistic by choice, not because of information.
Well, optimism is good for longevity.
Yes, 7 years more of life
Yeah.
for optimistic people, or people who have a positive perception of being yes.
And pessimism has the reverse effect.
Yes,
It decreases your lifespan.
yes, all that makes you close to depression. You know more than me about that. Yes.
So for you, what does a successful old age look like?
I love a saying of the president of Uruguay, Jose Mujica. I don't know if you heard about him. Pepe Mujica, he was called. He died recently at 89 when he knew he was sick and he was going to die. He said, "But the cup of life, I will drink it to the last drop." And in his last interview before dying, when he was really bad, the journalist asked him, "What do you regret?" And he said, "Well, I don't want to die before I acknowledge some compromise I have with my neighbor. That I was going to plant trees in her land, and it seems as though I will not be able to make it." And he died. But I mean, the purpose doesn't have to be, I'm going to save humanity. He wanted, because a poor old lady that lived beside him, and he was going to plant, he had told her he was going to plant those 20 trees for her, and he didn't get it.
Well, I think that's a great story for us to end on, but I like the idea that you drink every drop of life until it's no longer there.
Exactly.
So Ximena, thank you so much. This has been fun, and I really, really appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing your wisdom and extensive knowledge with us. And I really hope that you have much more luck in the future with Travesía 100, and I'm sure you're going to come up with some more projects before you hit 80. So, if someone is interested in Travesía 100, how can they find out more information? Is it worldwide, or can anyone join? Give us some feedback on that.
Travesía 100 is for humanity. It's not for Chileans, but we have the limitation of language. It's for Spanish speakers, unless we can find a way of translating, I don't know. But anyone can go into our website, www.travesía100 with numbers.cl, Chile. And there's a form, and if you give us your identity, you give us your name, your address, your Gmail, you will receive our newsletter and our invitations and a lot of information we think is useful. That's the way it works. And then somebody says, "Hey, I want to help." And so we invite her to organize things, whatever that person likes. There are, for example, somebody says, "I love gardening. I would like to share what I know of gardening." And so we have a circle of people who enjoy sharing gardening with her. Or people who say, I love poetry, or I love reading. And so people get together, get to know. Maybe one is in one country or another country. So, but I mean, you get together people that...
Common interests.
Yes, a common interest. Thank you so much. And please excuse me with my Spanglish.
Your English is wonderful. Way better than my Spanish. So it was nice talking with you. And I hope to catch up with you again in the 80s.
And if you come to Chile, now we're in touch.
Okay. I'll definitely look for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us for this inspiring conversation with Ximena Abogabir. Her vision of conscious aging as a time of purpose, reinvention, and connection is one we can all learn from, no matter where we are on the journey. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who's navigating this stage of life or who's curious about the next. You can learn more about Ximena's work at travesía100.cl. That's TRAVESIA 100.cl. And if you're looking for practical science-backed tools to support your own midlife transition or menopause transition, visit drtuakli.com or check out my book, Sex, Sanity, and Sleep, available on Amazon and in Spanish as Sexo, sensatez y sueño. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and remember, aging isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your next chapter. Bye for now.